Do you want to know what one of the biggest mistakes students make with statistics? Well, we're going to talk about it in this video and teach you how to fix it. All right, here is what a lot of people do. They read a question like this. Class A had an average of 84 on the last exam. Class B had a class average of a 76 on the last exam. And the total mean for both classes is an 80, right? No, absolutely not. Well, first off, maybe. If both Class A and Class B have the same number of students, then yes, the total average would be 80. But if the classes differ in size, then no, the total average is not 80. Why? Well, honestly, size matters. If one class has more students, then the average from that group is worth more or weighted heavier. So how do we find the total average when we have this problem? Well, first, we need to know both the sample sizes and the averages from both classes. So here we go. Class A had an average of 84, sample size of 20 kids. Class B had an average of 76 with a sample size of 35. So we see already that Class B had more students. So that value of 76 is weighted heavier. So that means that the total average is actually going to be a little bit closer to the 76 than it is going to be to the 84. So how do we actually find the total mean for the entire group? Well, we need to know that there are 55 total students, right? If we're talking about a mean for a total number of kids, we kind of need to divide by the total number of kids. And then for this, that would be 55, 20 plus 35. But what we need to know is the total scores for all of these students. Well, we don't know what the individual scores are, but we do know how averages work. If I take 84 and multiply it by the number of kids that 84 came from, then that would generate the total for that group. So if I take 84 times 20, I get 1,680. So although I don't know the individual grades for each of those 20 students, I do know that the total, once added together, would be 680. Plus, now I have to do the same thing for Class B. There were 35 kids, all with an average of 76, so multiply 35 by 76, and you're going to get the total for that group, 2660. Then we're going to add those together, 1680 plus 2660, and we're going to get our grand total for the two classes combined, 4340. Divide that grand total by 55, and you will get the total mean or average. Average and mean are, of course, two words that mean the same thing. So we have 78.91. There we go. And just as I told you, the mean is going to be closer to the 76 because that value is weighted more. And it's further from the 84 because less kids came from that value. Now, we could actually use a second example here. It's actually the same averages, 84 and 76, but the problem becomes even bigger when one class is way bigger. So in the previous example, we had 35 and 20. Here we have 50 versus 5. So now this 76 is worth even more. So again, to find the total mean, we're going to take 84 times 5. That's going to be the total for Class A. Plus 76 times 50, that's the total for Class B, and divide by the 55 total students. Now grab a calculator, it's pretty easy to do. So we have 84 times 5 plus the 76 times 50. So there's our total score divided by 55 total students. So now we're at an average or a mean of 76.23. So now we see that the total is even closer to 76 because there was way more students that came from that class that got that average. So again, you cannot average averages. You can't just take two means and add them together and divide by 2. That is not how you do it because of size matters. Now this also happens with proportions. So here's an example. 30% of people in a sample from California smoke, 36% of people in a sample from New York smoke. Does that mean that the total for all the people sampled is 33%, right? I mean, that was what it would be, right? Just 30 plus 36 divided by 2. Absolutely not. Again, the only way that would be true is if the samples were both exactly the same size. Then they would have equal weight, and then, yeah, that would work, 33%. But if the samples are like this, California had 350 people, New York had 650 people, then sorry, you're not going to be able to just add them together and divide by 2. So once again, what do? Well, we take the proportion of people from California, times it by the 350 people that was in that sample, plus the proportion from people of New York, times by their sample size, 650, and divide all of that by the total number of people, 1,000 total people in the sample. So again, grab a calculator if you need to, 0.3 times 350 plus 0.36 times 650, and this is going to get us the total number of people that smoked between both samples. That's the 30% of the 350, and that's the 36% of the 650. That's our total number that smoked, divided by the 1,000 people. Don't even really need a calculator for that, but 0.339. So it's close to 33%, but it's not. It's going to be slightly higher or closer to the 36% because that value was weighted more. All right, this is such a common mistake that people make all the time. I hear adults making the mistake all the time. I hear TV shows, radio shows, podcasts that make this mistake. So please make sure that you don't make the mistake and you know how to fix it.